everybody, it's Miss Marie, and today for STEAM Thursday we are going to be doing a paint along video where we will make a snowman Starry Night similar to this one. This isn't exactly how it's going to be, but it's going to be pretty close to this. And I have adapted the video from an artist who was inspired by a book that I know you all know and love called Snowman at Night, or Snowman at Night, and there's a whole series of these books. And also inspired by this painting by the Dutch painter Vincent van Gogh called Starry Night. And this painting was made in the 19th century, so the 1800s, a long time ago, by a Dutch artist. Vincent van Gogh is very famous. And what he did on this Starry Night was paint not just what he was seeing, but things that he remembered about stars and nighttime skies, and also things that he had learned about in science books. About astronomy, so that's why there's all kinds of light around those stars and the moon that you might not see with your eye, but you know are there because you learn about it in science. So this is an impressionistic type painting of a starry night, and we're going to be working on that together. Now, what's really neat about Vincent van Gogh's work, if you've ever seen it in person, I have. There's some in the Museum of Art in New York. Is that he puts the paint on so thick in some spots that they actually have their own shadow. They create a shadow on the canvas. We can do a little bit of that today if you're patient and you let the paint dry before we do that, before we add those swirls and stuff. You'll get sort of a Van Gogh look with extra paint. All right, I'm going to turn this camera down so you can see where I'm going to be working. And again, I'll show you the picture. This was the inspiration artwork that we're going to go on. Snowman Starry Night. This is the book that it was based on, Snowman at Night. And this is the artwork by Vincent van Gogh called Starry Night. And you can see it's got all kinds of fun colors in there. Oranges, yellows, I see a little green, blue, obviously white, red, some gray or black in the background. So we're going to have some fun doing that. First thing we're going to do is get out our kit that we got from the library. There's a canvas, there are some paints, there's a brush and a foam brush. All right, so to open your canvas, because it's wrapped in plastic, turn it to the back and use your scissors and try to make a little rip in there. You might need a grown-up help for that. The reason I tell you to turn that over is so you don't scratch the front of the canvas, because then it might mar your painting. So, oh, you're also going to need some water. I have a jar full of water right here. And you're going to need maybe a paper plate or some other kind of plate for mixing your paints. Because you're going to do a lot of mixing today. Because what I've given you is a dark blue, a yellow, a white, red, black, and brown. Now, any of you who have taken art class in school know how to get orange, right? We're going to need orange. I see a lot of orange in my painting. You mix red and yellow, right? And if you want to get green, you're going to mix a little bit of yellow and blue, right? If you want to lighten up a color, you add white to it. If you want to darken it, you add a little brown or black to it. Okay? That's what we're going to be doing today. Now, the first thing we're going to do with our canvas is we're going to open up the blue paint, use our paintbrush, dip it in, and paint sort of we're going to try to separate the background, the sky from the ground. So I'm going to go upside down so you can see what I'm doing. And this does not have to be perfect. It's just a little guide for us for later. Okay, so that's going to be the snow, and this is going to be the sky. Now, what I want to do next is I want to make my sky sort of watery. So I'm going to take my sponge, get it wet. I'm just going to get water on the canvas. And it's okay if we get into that ground part a little bit or go a little bit below it. That's fine, because it's all going to blend together later. We're just going to get that canvas a little bit wet. Okay. And now I'm going to get some blue paint on my sponge, and I'm going to put it on this background, and I want it to be watery. I want a lot of the lighter colors to come through. And we're gonna just paint that on there like that and get that sky color in. Okay, so I've let my blue background dry a bit. I went in one more time, made it a little bit darker, and now I'm letting it dry. And I'm gonna start adding in some white spots to be the backgrounds for the stars and the moon. So first I'm gonna come up here and make sort of a big white circle. And you can kind of do it in a swirl if you like that. And that's gonna get a little bit lighter. And that's okay. And I'm just gonna kind of make this into a swirl. It's kind of hard to do upside down. But make a nice swirl there for the moon. And I got the white paint, I put some onto the plate so that I wouldn't keep dipping into there and accidentally getting blue back into the white paint because it's still maybe a little bit wet. We're gonna come around and make some smaller ones. Let's see, how many stars should we make? Let's do like 3 or 4. So we'll make some smaller circles. Be the stars. Some white paint on your plate, or you can add some more and get some more on your brush. And we're going to start doing the dashes that are in the background. You can see them here. Down at the bottom on the horizon, which is where the snow meets the sky. And then we're also going to do this swirl here. So first we're going to start with the white. And let's add those dashes on the horizon. And I think that what that does is it kind of gives the feeling of movement, of light moving across the sky in the night, which is something that was really important to Vincent van Gogh. He didn't like to just draw what he saw, but what he knew was happening. And light moves, as we know. And so that's what we're gonna do. Draw some dashes on the horizon. Go a couple layers deep. Give it some movement. And some of those are pretty dark white, so we can go in with less paint on our brush and do some lighter white. And that again gives the feeling that some of it's closer and some of it's further away. The lighter ones look further away than the darker ones. And it's fun to do. Like that, good. And now we're going to draw that sort of spiral sweeping light that goes across. So first we'll get some paint on our brush. We start here in the middle somewhere and then draw a spiral. It's really just a squiggly line that goes out like that. And I'm going to try to smooth mine out. It's a little herky. There we go. That, and then we're going to add some more dashes around that too to represent movement, and I'm going to put mine on top of it like this, top of the line. If you have a finer brush, you can use that too, or you can use the tip of the brush to do these like that. It definitely looks like a swirling swoop of light. I'll let that dry a couple seconds. Okay, so I'm ready to go back in with my yellow. I'll put some yellow on my plate again so I don't keep getting yellow or different colors into the yellow. Try to keep it as yellow as possible. I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna draw the moon first. I'm gonna do a half moon. And this is hard because I'm doing it upside down, but that generally looks like a C shape. And I'm gonna draw that in like that. I can go back over that, make it a little darker. Remember I said that Van Gogh put the paint on pretty heavy. And if you see them up close, you can see it. I'm going to try to make that pointy. All right, so I've got my moon there. I'm going to go in and put little yellow circles inside all the white circles that are my stars. And make sure you let it dry enough. All right. Now I'm going to put some yellow dashes wherever I had some white dashes. So down here, you can even go over some of the white ones. That's totally fine. And again, it's just to show the light moving across the night sky. Let's do some up here. Oops. And I really like adding this yellow because it starts to really brighten the painting up. Okay, and then we're going to add some around the outside of the stars and the moon. You see how bright that looks now. But we still know it's a night sky because there's a moon and stars. But it really is starting to look so bright, which is really neat. All right, I'm gonna rinse that off. Okay, I realized I forgot to do my yellow dots around my moon as well. Get some nice orange. All right, and now I'm gonna put that orange on the tip of my brush. And I'm gonna go and I'm gonna get some orange right up into the moon. That'll be my first area that I would like to get some orange in there. And still leave a little bit of yellow in the background behind the moon. So much easier if I could do this. There we go, in a sweeping motion. All right, and now we're gonna add orange to the middle of all the stars. The horizon, I've always said that, that's where the sky in our painting is meeting the ground. And we are going to go, get that water off my, going to go around our stars. And if you're finding that your brush is too thick, you could have used the tip of your paintbrush, the other end, and try that. And that works really nicely too, to get finer lines. Okay, so now we're going to go back in with a little bit of white again. I'm going to put some on my plate here. And the white and bright blue. We're going to first do the white around all of his stars, just like very, very lightly. Very, very lightly. And again, if you needed to, you can use the other side of your brush. You can use a toothpick if you need to make this very light all around. I'm going to get some dark blue with more white added to it. And we are going to use that to do the same thing, but it's going to be very, very light. You're not going to really see too much of it. It's just, again, creating some movement of the light. So make sure I'm not too heavy on the brush. I'm just going around those stars and the moon and the swirl and adding. Okay, so I let that dry quite a bit. I went back in and I fixed my moon because I wasn't happy with how it is. And now I'm going to start, we're going to start putting in this background for the snow. So what we're going to do is at the very bottom, I know it's going to sound weird, but we are going to do a little bit of white and a little bit of blue. And just to do a little bit at the bottom here, I get this water out of the way. Like this, you get a little bit of blue down at the bottom, and that's just kind of to give you the impression of, again, the light from the sky reflecting off of the snow, right? So we're just a tiny little bit of blue in there. All right, and as we work our way up, we're going to start adding in more white. So I'm going to clear off my brush, make sure it's nice and clean, all the colors on there, and then I'm going to get the white paint on there. And start putting that in here, and I'm going to go right up to the edge and go over the edge where I might have made a few mistakes. Anything I didn't like, I'm just going to cover that up with this white paint and give it that look of softer snow that is gathered on the ground here. And then I'm going to fill in the rest of that. And believe it or not, you should paint over the spots that are white on the canvas. Even though the canvas is white, because that will also create a little bit of movement. Your brush strokes create movement. And it creates a little bit of depth. So it looks like the snow is actually real. Sort of got some weight to it. All right, keep on doing that. We're adding this in like this. It's okay if I go over that a little bit because, again, the blue will come through because I'm doing it so lightly. So we're just getting a little bit of a reflection of the blue on the bottom of the canvas. And it gets lighter and lighter as we go towards the actual horizon. Remember, always the horizon is in your painting, it's where the sky is meeting the ground in a landscape painting, okay? And then I realized that I forgot to add some darker blue tracings up here around these two stars. I forgot these two. So I'm just gonna go do over that while I'm waiting for the snow to dry. All right, and I'm going to top my brush again. Okay, so now I'm going to do the tree, or maybe one or two trees over here. What I've done is I've taken some black and mixed it in with a little bit of white and a little bit of that blue. And I'm going to get that color that I like for tree. It's not exactly black, it's not exactly gray, sort of a combination color here. And we're going to do it while the snow is still a little bit wet, and I'll show you why in a minute. First thing we're going to do is, come on, find where we want to put a tree trunk. Just like that, going right into the snow and bringing it up to here, right? And then we're going to go in and add the branches. Now remember, the branches are usually in a pine tree, smaller at the top and bigger at the bottom. We're just going to come down, making swirls or little arrows almost, coming down towards the bottom of the tree. You can fill that in too, make it thicker, fluffier. You can add a little more black. And we're just going to keep on going down with that, making our tree. We can make it longer if we want to, bushier, however we want to do that. And you use that, the side of your brush or like that. And then we're going to draw, you don't have to do anything with that really. We're just going to draw sort of like a little upside down squiggle, because this is going to be in the snow. It's going to be a reflection of the tree. So it's going to be the opposite. It's going to be a little bit wider close to the tree, and then it's going to get skinnier as we go out. All right, and you see it'd be like a shadow. It's just a shadow of the tree. And that was pretty easy. And if you don't feel comfortable doing that, you don't have to do that, but I just did it and it was pretty easy. All right, so I'm going to fill out this tree a little bit more and maybe do one more tree. Let's do one more tree. Put the trunk here, bring it right up into the stars here. The stars are far away, so it's okay if we cover them up a little bit. For the snowman, we've left ourselves a lot of white. We're going to clean out that brush really, really well. And we are going to paint our snowman with that brush. Better than this. I still see paint on my brush. All right, that looks a lot better. Oh, still got it. Make sure it's super clean because we want our snowman to be white with some reflections on it. So first we'll put in a nice big round ball, and we're gonna do, even though it's in the snow, we're still going to paint our own circle for the bottom of the snowman. And I'll show you why later. So paint a nice heavy white circle right there on the bottom. And you can kind of go into circles and swirls, make it circle shape. All right. And our snowman's going to be a standard snowman with 3 parts. So next is a medium-sized circle right here. And again, we've got lots of extra white right here, so we can add that to our middle of the snowman. And then for the top of the snowman, we are going to need a pretty heavy but small amount of white. We want to make sure we cover up the orange and the yellow and the blue in the background and make that head for the snowman. And now you can make yours a little bigger. You know, maybe I'll fill mine in a little bigger. I have plenty of white, so I'm gonna make my bottom a little bit bigger. And I'm gonna make my middle a little bit bigger. And then I'm gonna make my top just a little bit bigger. All right, I know that's kind of hard to see still. So what we're going to do is go back in with a little bit of black, a little bit of blue. We're going to do some shading to get that little bit, I'm going to get a little more blue in there. Just to create shadows on our snowman. So you can see him a little better, or her, your girl snowman. to. Snow lady, snow person, or snow person needs to have some shading. Oh, I still need more. And we're going to add that in here on the sides. And since the moon is here, that's our light source, so it's going to be brighter here and a little bit darker on the back end. So let's make sure our back end of the snowman is a little bit more shaded. All right, now you're starting to be able to see it better. I'll go back around, create some shadows here where the pieces are coming together. And just very, very lightly on the front end of the snowman, just a very light shading, because that's the brightest part of it, where the moon is hitting it, the light from the moon. All right, you can see your snowman there. I'm going to go now and add some details. So what should our snow person have on them? That's going to be totally up to you. I did give you enough to make orange for a carrot nose. You're going to do that. We have black to make eyes and a mouth. You have brown for some stick arms. So I'm going to first do the carrot nose. Let's get the yellow and the red mixed together to make a nice orange. And I'm going to put in a carrot nose right here. And I'm going to make sure yours dries pretty well before you do this. Mine still could dry a little bit better, but I want to show you my carrot nose. All right, that looks pretty good. And I'm going to use the tip, the end of my paintbrush to get in the black and to get in some eyes. Oh, that's perfect. Look at that. That is perfect. And mouth. Boop. That tip of the paintbrush is absolutely the right thing to make the little cold dots for the eyes, nose, mouth, or eyes, mouth, and buttons. And we can go with 3 buttons maybe, like that on our snow person. You could add, let's see, I opened up my brown, and I'm gonna clean off that tip and use the tip again for the stick arms, because I want them to be pretty small. Just do some stick arms here. Almost like I'm coloring it on there, just to get that in there. Little stick arms. Oh, I love it. You could do, if you wanted to, you could do a red hat or scarf. Let's see if I can get that in there. Just do like a little triangle on top of the head. Make it come a little more like a stocking cap. You could do that. You don't have to do this part. This is totally up to you. You could also do a black hat on yours. You could do a yellow hat. You've got lots of colors to work with here. So however you want to make your snow person is up to you. Let's try a little scarf right across the neck there. All right, and then, oh, of course, a pom-pom. I'm going to use the other end of my paintbrush into the white and make a pom-pom on my snow person's hat. And there you have it, a snowman starry night. I hope you had fun learning some techniques, learning about shading and shadows, and about movement, creating movement with the paint. And I hope you learned a little bit about Vincent van Gogh, the famous painter, and impressions, how sometimes when you paint something, it's not exactly what you see, but your impression of what you see, and what you know to be there, even if you can't see it. And so there we have it, Snowman Starry Night. I hope you send me pictures of what you've made. I'd love to see it. Have a great week.